Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Zach Drew. I have 6 different topics today. What do you think the likelihood of me getting through them all are? Slim. I'm hoping for 4, but if I can talk fast, then let's see. We'll see how I do. Okay, powerful topics though, each and every one. I couldn't decide on what to do the show on because there was several different things to talk about, so that's what I'm going to be doing on today's show. Topic 1, an update on America's most costly disaster in U.S. history. Topic 2, House passes bill banning transgender athletes, that's biological males, from competing in girls' sports at schools that receive federal funding. Topic 3, breaking this week, huge actually, FDA bans red dye number 3 for American food, drinks, and ingested drugs. Point number 4 for today's program, a huge win for parental rights in Ohio. Next one, in a confusing plot twist, Meta nukes DEI program and kisses the Don's ring. And also I have a couple of quick thoughts on CBDCs and the new nation state adoption of Bitcoin. All right, so that is what I have going. So let's go ahead and jump right into the first article. LA County Inferno expected to top $250 billion in losses. Hello. A week after a devastating inferno leveled large swaths of the Pacific Palisades and Altadena to ash, Los Angeles County remained under a severe fire threat. Residents have been left in a state of shock, expressing frustration over what many see as possible negligence, hello again, by county and or state officials to mitigate the spread of the fires. The fires have become the region's worst fire disaster in history, with the new damage and economic loss estimates between $250 billion and $275 billion, according to AccuWeather. AccuWeather chief meteorologist Jonathan Porter said these fast-moving, wind-driven infernos have created one of the costliest wildlife disasters in modern U.S. history. Hurricane-force winds sent flames ripping through neighborhoods filled with multi-million-dollar homes. The devastation left behind is heartbreaking, and it really is. And the economic toll is staggering. So, to put that into perspective, because I'm all the way over here in Illinois, and I'm, going different places, getting coffee, getting a bite to eat, whatever, and talking to people, and the fire's not coming up unless I bring it up. I don't know why, maybe we're just so far away from California, but to put what's happening in perspective, because I'm staying up to date. I'm a news junkie, and I have friends that live in California and friends that are right near this fire. To put this into perspective, the most costly natural disaster to ever occur in the history of the United States, you can probably guess it. It was Hurricane Katrina. It's standing in at $201.3 billion in 2005. $201.3 billion in 2005. And according to JP Morgan analysts, economic damages between $250 billion and $275 billion eclipse Hurricane Katrina damages, even with factoring in inflation adjustments. And this is stated without calculating in this next article of what, as I tape this, would be happening right now in Los Angeles. Developing Los Angeles on high alert as 70-mile-an-hour winds could trigger gigantic new inferno. And once again, I don't want to beat this dead horse because I got to set the foundation for where we're going. But I want to reiterate that this would have been largely preventable. Land management could have helped mitigate this. Where were the fire lines? Where was the brush clearing that have been warning for well over a decade, probably even longer? The leasing for animals to graze, all of these things could have helped mitigate the risk. And then you add in the lack of water due to politics, compounded by lack of planning based on prior fires in California, and this firestorm could have been mitigated even with the winds. One more quick line from the original article. On Monday, Palisades homeowners sued the city of Los Angeles electric and water utility for not supplying enough water to firefighters. The plaintiffs claim that a reservoir in the area was drained, causing low pressure in fire hydrants. And that is true. They had just 3 million gallons of water to fight these fires. and the fire hydrants went dry. Why? Because, article on the screen, when LA fires broke out, the 117 million gallon Santa Ynez Reservoir near Pacific Palisades was empty. Here's what we know. Quick thing from the article. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced Friday he'll be launching an independent state investigation into the loss of water pressure and unavailability of water from the reservoir. He directed Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to prepare a comprehensive review of their efforts to ensure available water supply in case of emergencies. Thank you, Gavin Newsom, for launching this investigation over a department you are over. I understand how you couldn't have seen this problem. Who could have known you were in a historic drought? Who could have known that the underbrush would have been an incredible fire hazard for the last 20 years? It's unbelievable. I guess my question is, who goes to jail for this, right? I mean, this just can't be negligence. We're talking about the 117 million gallon Pacific Palisades Reservoir, a critical piece of infrastructure, empty when it was needed most. Why? Because of repairs. I guess there was a small tear in the top. Repairs during one of the most severe droughts California has faced in decades. Repairs in an area that insurance companies were pulling out of because it was deemed too high risk for wildfires. Coincidence? Incompetence? Negligence? Or dare I say it, design? Look at the patterns. Why are areas deemed uninsurable just months or even weeks before fires mysteriously become ground zero for devastation? Why was a reservoir with 117 million gallons of water left unusable, all while Californians begged for relief during a drought? Who benefits from this? Developers? Global elites pushing, people out of rural areas into cities? I don't know. But I know that things aren't adding up. Here's the truth. I'll tell you this, that they don't want you to hear. It's that chaos isn't always random. Who approved the timing of these so-called repairs? Who decided to drain the reservoir into the ocean instead of prioritizing fire protection? Follow the money. Who profits from destruction? They want you to believe this is just bad luck or because of climate change, but there's a pattern. The same forces behind this crisis are the ones pushing for centralized control. Right? Whether this is an instance of that or not, the ones in control of this situation are pushing for that, centralized control. Gavin Newsom is already announcing his plans where the devastation took place for a new LA 2.0. These are the people that manipulate disasters to shift populations, to consolidate power. And for what? To make the state your daddy, to ensure dependency. Now, I do know that there are 5 people that run that department that basically call the shots for decisions to be made on such a scale with these reservoirs, all appointed from the mayor, by the way. And Biden's response was so horrible. Oh my gosh. I didn't know whether to laugh, to cry, or to start throwing punches. The article calls him tone deaf, and my goodness. And I'm going to be playing a video of what he said. Here's the article. Biden's tone deaf response to disaster. Victims of devastating fires get insulting $770 one-time payment while sending billions overseas. On Monday, Joe Biden announced a federal commitment to support recovery efforts in California. He is so far moved from reality. His tone in this video you're about ready to watch, it's kind of like, hey, look here, we are really making a difference. Just listen to this video and try not to cringe.
I want to be clear. We're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770, one-time payment, so they can quickly purchase things like water, baby formula, and prescriptions. So far, nearly 6,000 survivors have registered to do just that. and $5.1 million has gone out.
Like I said, he's so far away, removed from reality. You know, people who just lost everything, who can't even rebuild because of the cancellation of their insurance, you know, they're not going to be able to rest easy at night because they know that $770 is coming their way. And his tone, $5.1 million has already been sent out. It just felt braggadocious to me. Like 5.1, we're doing our part. When $500 million went to Ukraine last week to fight a war we shouldn't even be involved with in the first place. And 5.1 million sent so far to California residents. When I was reading these stories, I was mad. I'd like take a break. 500 million sent to Ukraine last week. And once again, to add insult to injury, California just agreed to give Gavin Newsom 50 million. 5.1 million, we're helping with the recovery. Well, then look at it at a local level, you know. Gavin Newsom, 50 million was just given to him last week. For what? Anticipatory costs in litigation and legal fees to fight Donald Trump during his next term. What? How can you make this stuff up? It's like if you told someone, just write the craziest stuff. Just write the absolute craziest stuff that people just couldn't believe. I just feel like this would be it. California Democrats agree to give Newsom $50 million to fight Trump as Los Angeles burns. Fire hydrants ran dry, and there weren't enough resources to fight the fires because of the Democrat leadership. But Trump is the biggest threat to California, according to Newsom. Politico reported, California Democrats have reached a $50 million agreement to shore up state and local legal defenses against the incoming Trump administration just a week ahead of the president-elect's inauguration. Half the money would go to fending off any mass deportation plan the new president might enact early in his administration. The move, the first of its kind in the nation that positions California to lead a second-term resistance against Donald Trump, comes as Republicans bash state Democratic leaders for focusing on the highly partisan issue, even as the southern part of the state suffers from historically devastating fires. The deal includes $25 million Newsom had proposed for the State Department of Justice to fight the federal government in court shortly after Trump's re-election in November, plus $25 million more proposed by state Senate leaders to defend immigrants against deportation, detention, and wage theft. The $25 million proposed by the Senate would fund grants for legal nonprofits and immigration support centers. It's insane. It's just insane. It's just crazy, right? Before I switch topics to a couple of really great things that happened this week, I watched a video. I couldn't believe my eyes or my ears. Explosive bombshell. I found a video of Gavin Newsom, LA Mayor Karen Bass, Kamala Harris, all together, with even Nancy Pelosi and Congresswoman Maxine Waters. They got together and sang a song, a rendition of California Dreamin', where they expose what we all knew as fact, while also exposing their own involvement. I couldn't believe it. The audacity of these individuals to admit to everything. Take a quick listen to just 1 minute of this song.
All the homes are gone. All the homes are gone. Because of climate change. Because of climate change. When the fires are out. I'll build a brand new LA. I'll build a brand new LA. Here's $700. Here's $700. Land grab is underway. Land grab is underway. California's burning. In the fire department's gay. Looters in the streets. Illegals on the way. Well, I went to fight the fire. But there's no water to There's no water to drink. LA is burning down. LA's burning down. But smellfish are okay. Smellfish are okay. California's burning. But my mansion's okay.
I don't know why this song ain't trending on iTunes at #1. You know, honestly, I just saw that. I thought to myself, it's during these times of all hell breaking loose that you need to find some comedic relief somewhere. You know, laugh at, you know, our own trauma for our own sanity's sake. So I'd slip that in there for you. Okay, good news. A lot of things changing, right? With Trump getting inaugurated in just the inauguration just in a day or so, depending on where you're watching. You might have just been inaugurated. But listen, things are moving. People are shifting positions. You know, you have people like Meta bowing down. You know, you have Robinhood and you have Amazon and Meta, Facebook, all donating millions of dollars to the inauguration. Just the actual inauguration. They're all coming down. Bill Gates requesting meetings with Donald Trump. It's shifting. Now, a lot of people are shifting because they're seeing the light. Then you have the people that you just don't trust, like some of the ones I just mentioned, that are bowing down because they're seeing how they can benefit. But things are changing. An amazing thing happened this week. Just put the article on the screen. House passes bill banning transgender athletes, biological males, from competing in girls' sports at schools that receive federal funding. How amazing is this? Like, this is the thing. These are the things that we've been praying and asking God. Like, God, put sanity back into America. Can't we just have a righteous few that stand up for what is good and what is right and what is pure, the things that we should be focusing on? This is a huge win. The House of Representatives on Tuesday passed a bill banning transgender athletes, biological males, from competing in girls' sports at schools that receive federal funding. The Trump-backed bill introduced, dubbed the, quote, Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, passed the House 218 to 206. Every Republican voted yay, and 2 Democrats joined Republicans and also voted yay. The bill, known as the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, would amend Title IX, the federal law banning sex discrimination in schools, to recognize a person's sex as based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Schools who allow a person whose sex is male to participate in an athletic program or activity that is designed for women or girls risk losing federal funding. It just feels like things are starting to shift, people. We should be very excited. And you know you're making the right decisions when people like AOC are having complete meltdowns. As this bill was on the floor, here's her response to the bill being passed. Go ahead and play that video and just let your mouth just drop to the floor like mine did.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member. Here we are today, Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body, who, as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing there, allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women.
Women are bleeding out in parking lots all over America, dying. I think I just saw 4 women bleeding out when I was walking into Walmart yesterday. It's just terrible. You know, I don't know. I guess I'm just not getting the connection. You know, maybe someone can help me out. How do we get from keeping men out of women's sports to women bleeding out in parking lots all over America, being left to die? Right? I think AOC needs to be challenged to produce the list of women, or even a woman with a name and who she actually is. She should be challenged to provide these specific evidence to support her claim that women are bleeding out in parking lots all across. I mean, think about it. Due to this law, this is what's happening, my gosh, this sounds like it should be a serious enough problem that there should probably be some data, including the list of cases, causes, dates, locations, to back up these incredible statements. It's just crazy. You know, and I haven't actually seen women bleeding out in parking lots all over America, but I have seen women bleeding on the volleyball court or in the ring when they are forced to go up against a biological man. I have seen that. So a big win. Another huge win. Take a listen, or actually, not listen quite yet. Let's first go into this article. Breaking. FDA bans red number 3, that's red dye 3, for American food, drinks, and ingested drugs. The agency made the decision in response to a 2022 petition by the food safety group Center for Science. I mean, the article says, you know, it's definitely, the move marks a victory, you know, for any health advocate. But, you know, it could also be an attempt by the outgoing Biden administration to please the masses before incoming Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had the opportunity to score points by removing the product from the market. Red dye number 3 is a coloring derived from petroleum that has been banned in cosmetics since 1990. It isn't the only cancer-causing chemical compound that will be removed from products, as the Trump administration is set to target others under Kennedy's DHHS. You know, there are over 100 chemical poisons in our food, according to RFK Jr. And RFK Jr. is going to be a huge part in, you know, we have MAGA, Make America Great Again, in making America healthy again. I want to play a couple of minutes from this video of RFK. He published it just, about 8 weeks ago on YouTube. And I simply want you to watch it because I found it incredibly enlightening. RFK is, and I just took kind of like the highlights. He's talking about more than just red dye 3 in this video, but it's a pretty good content. So go ahead and run that, and I'm going to come back.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears. Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tatrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food.
A lot's changing. A lot of good things are happening. And you know, the thing is, I'm reminded, like, so whenever do you have like vacation, like whenever you go on vacation, is it like, hey, whenever it comes to food, if you've been dieting, it's just all straight out the window? Well, I have that. And maybe some of you are looking at me and saying, you probably shouldn't, Zach. But I have that, it's vacation. And, my family growing up, the day started, we know where we're going to have lunch and dinner. We're like surrounding the events, the beach, whatever, this and that. We're going to go to this nice restaurant, and this is the type of food it has. And it's just vacation mode. Now, what's interesting is that I would talk to people, and every time when we come back, whether it was, a cruise or whatever it was, we had always gained weight, right? It's kind of, you lose 15 pounds before you go on vacation, you're expecting to kind of get that back on vacation. But it's interesting because I've read so many things about people, going in vacationing in different places in Europe. And like most of Americans, when we go on vacation, we're in vacation mode. And they'll just eat what they want. And they'll come back thinking, I've gained weight. And they hadn't gained weight. They hadn't gained any weight. If anything, sometimes they even lost weight. And I've known about this for years. And then I started traveling, and I guess my first international trip would have been over 10 years ago, but traveled to many different places and overseas. And now I was never lucky enough to lose weight, but I would be in straight up vacation mode. And I never gained any weight. And I think that's just a telling sign. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's true, but I think there's a lot to be said that this has to do with the amount of plastics and the horrible things that we ingest into our bodies. As you guys know, watching the show, I've been taking my health a heck of a lot more seriously over the last year and a half or so. So a lot more to come. One more quick article, and because I'm almost out of time, I'm just going to kind of go through a few of these articles. Just go ahead and put them on the screen because we are out of time. But Ohio approves Parents' Bill of Rights, ensuring schools provide notification on sex ed and gender confusion. I wanted to bring that up. Don't have time to go into it. It's just amazing. We've talked about parental rights so many times in this country. Or I've talked about it, what's happening in this country so many times on this show. My dyslexia, I switch things back. And it's just another win. A couple of more articles that were on the list for today. Meta nukes DEI program. The article says morale for queer staff is, well, I'm not going to say that actually. There's a curse word in there. Zuckerberg joins Joe Rogan podcast. Well, of course there's curse words in there. It's Joe Rogan's podcast. Another article, Trump wants America to win. Zuckerberg warns of emasculated society. A couple of good signs that Zuckerberg is doing something right, because Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, deeply concerned by Zuckerberg's Meta ending its fact-checking censorship, says the move directly undermines free speech. That's so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous that he's literally providing more free speech. Like, it's not going to be censored and fact-checked up the wazoo, and it's just so dumb. This directly undermines free speech. What? Where do you get off? Like, that, it just doesn't make sense. People are just ridiculous. And that there's millions of people that follow them like, yeah, that's right. Harry, Meghan, it undermines free speech. Where it just doesn't make any sense. Let's see, there was two more articles. Financial expert warns all digital monetary system would enable complete controls of citizens. We know that. But I was going to tie it into how this correlates with CBDCs. The alternative is crypto and nation state adoption to drive Bitcoin growth. Fidelity Digital sees new era for crypto in 2025. I'm telling you once again, cryptocurrencies right now are kind of like the internet in the mid 90s, where you had thousands and tens of thousands of people buying domain names, hoping to strike it rich. The same way there's 10,000 different cryptocurrencies. It's like the Wild West. And then there was the .com, it was the bubble, and maybe that'll happen to crypto, I don't know. But what will rise out of it is a new age, a new era, the internet as we know it today. And then there'll be the new digital currency as we know it today, but this nation state adoption with Trump wanting to buy 5% of all circulating Bitcoin, every nation is going to follow suit, and it's going to change the digital monetary systems as we know it, and huge changes coming. Listen, we didn't get quite covered. I had to rush at the end. If you do like our content, please go to ZachDrewShow.com and support us. Just click that bright orange donate button, ZachDrewShow.com. Click that bright orange donate button, and what we really need is monthly recurring partners. So there's a little button you can check, and you can support us on a monthly basis, or write us the old-fashioned way, Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois 62525. I am totally out of time for today's program, so I bid you adieu. I'll see you all next week.